Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for joining me today. What do I have out on my mat today? Well, I have all the beads from the Double FirePolish Beads of the Month Club. This is Day at the Beach and such an incredible, amazing grouping of beads. I've kind of put the beads together in how I'm going to use them. So I'm going to use these 3 beads together. I'm going to use these 2 beads together, but I'm also going to use one of these beads for here. And then I'm also going to be using a couple of these here and there throughout the project. Now, one of the items I want to showcase is one of these little mini pears. And these are little pears, and these are from the Crystals Companion Pack. And this is one of the add-ons that you can get with your Beads of the Month Club. So for this month, we have 2 of these mini pear pendants. We have also 24 4mm bicones in the Iris AB finish. And then we have 6mm tanzanite rounds, and we have 10 of those. So I have those here, and I'm going to use these in another project. But I wanted to also just point out the new Crystals Companion Pack from Beads of the Month. Thank you so much, Adorable Elements, for adding this onto your list of companion packs. And another piece of their companion packs are their findings. I love their findings. They have incredible findings. And so here's a list of all the findings that came in the Findings Companion Pack. And if you want, I will also include the unboxing that I focused on each one of these items. And we're going to use them throughout the rest of August and then also too into September, because I do have a few more projects to do, and we'll get them done at least by September. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to use some of these little teardrop crystals. So when I first originally thought of this project, I thought that I would be using these little teardrops with maybe these beads here, doing a little bit of wrapping, and maybe add on one of these little tiny beads. But the more that I looked at it, and when I dove into my findings pack for my ear wires, I decided I actually might want to use these connectors. Not sure if I'm gonna do that or not. I feel like I want to, because I feel like I can drop something from here and then maybe drop a couple beads from there, and then do another bead up on top. And actually, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm totally and completely changing up what I'm gonna be doing. And so I will need to step away to get some head pins, but we're gonna go ahead and do them this way here. And then what I want to do is, I think for up here, I'm actually just going to add a couple of jump rings, just because I want the focus to be here. But you know, who knows? We'll see, right? Now, as far as the beads to go with those, I feel like I kind of want not crystals, so that it doesn't. I mean, they are little fire polish beads, but I just want them to accent. So I feel like maybe if I just did a few down the side, maybe that will work out. So we'll try and do something like that. And like I said, we're going to need to grab some head pins for those. And these here, I want to use these, but look at the size hole on those. I want to use those for maybe some leather or something. I just feel like I want to use them and take advantage of that larger hole. So I think I'm going to save these for that. And I have some leather that I want to use for those. All right, so I kind of like how the crystals and these little, they're called polychrome denim blue, and they're micro spacers. I kind of like how they look. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and make my dangle for my little pears. So we're going to go ahead and make one of those. So for today, I'm going to be using some 22 gauge. This is Softlex craft wire, and I'm using bare copper. It is a little different. It's the bare copper. It's not the antiqued copper, but it's going to look just fine with that. And I just feel like all of that just accents all the copper really well. And so what I want to do is and this is 22 gauge, and the reason why I'm using 22 gauge craft wire, it's a dead soft wire, but these are just delicate, and I just want to make sure that I don't have to mess with fiddling around with the wire and it be, you know, a harder wire. So this is 8 inches across, so I'm going to go probably about 3 inches. So now we're bringing in this piece of wire, and we're going to go ahead and thread on our delicate bead. It's one of those pear beads from the companion pack. I'm going to leave about 1.5 inches on one side and the rest of the wire on the other. And then I'm just going to carefully cross these over. This is why I used the 22 gauge, because then I don't have to worry about having a thick gauge wire to bust that delicate bead. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and with the long end on my chain nose pliers, I'm just going to give that a bend straight up. And then with the short end, just tilt it over to the side just a little bit, just to help along with the wrapping. Now I'm going to take the tip of my chain nose pliers and carefully place it over the crossings. And then I am going to go ahead and start wrapping, but it's a little too short. So I'm going to bring in the bent nose pliers, and I actually like using the bent nose pliers better because then I feel like I have more control over the wire. Now what I'm going to do is come in to the back with my flush cutters and give it a nice little trim. I'm not going to tuck in the tail yet. I want to have a bead there in place before I do that so I don't ruin that tail. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of those small beads, thread it all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to bring in my chain nose pliers at the very tippy tip because I do not want a long neck. This is 22 gauge wire, so to get the 3 clean wraps, I don't need that long of a neck. So I give it that 90-degree angle bend. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers and go to that 1/3 mark, and then I'm going to form that wire over the top barrel. And I'm forming the wire. For one thing, it gives a nice round loop, but also too, I'm not pulling on the wire to cause breakage. And then I'm just adjusting so that I can make sure I have it centered. Then I'm going to take the tip of my chain nose pliers and just go over the loop, and then I just kind of lock it in place a little bit. Then go ahead and start my wrapping. And I'm going to wrap 3 times around, and I'm letting go every half turn. For one thing, it just helps with the strength of the wire. I have snapped wire before by just going all the way around, and that's probably just me. I'm a little rough on things. But now I'm going to come in with my bent nose pliers and tuck in those little tails, or the little nubbies, or the little ends. And remember, I didn't do the bottom at that time, so I'm going to come back in and carefully place my bent chain nose pliers across the loop, not across the wire, not where the wires cross. And then I'm going to just give it a slight little squeeze just to finish that off. And there we have it. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, so now what I need to do is I'm going to go grab some head pins, and we're going to make some dangles, and then we'll see how long we want them. And I'm going to grab some, I'm also going to grab some head pins. We'll grab some head pins. So there's 4. I don't know if 4 is going to be enough. Well, we'll see. We'll see. And then maybe we can just put another one up here. Oh, that's kind of cute. What do you guys think? All right, let me go grab some. Okay, so I'm really weird about my head pins. So they have to be thin enough to where they don't kind of pop out. See, like that? I don't like that. So I am going to find some different head pins, just so you guys know. Just so you know what I'm doing here. And I think I have some bald head pins that I really, really like. And they're nice and thin. I think those will look cute. Yes. All right, so we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's pretend like it's hanging from there. Ooh, no, we need more, don't we? So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. I think 6 is the ticket. I think it's 6. So, oh, here we go. 2, 4. Oh my goodness, how did I do that? All right, so we're gonna go ahead. Let me grab another head pin. I'm gonna grab 2 more because I'll do these offline. So you don't have to sit through a second one unless you want to. Okay, so believe it or not, I couldn't find very many that I had of one color, but I did have these. And these are not the antique copper, so that's fine. So we need 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna do 4, 5. So 1, 2, how did I do that again? Okay. All right, I'll never be able to do that perfect counting again. All right, so now what we're gonna do is these are very thin. These are very thin again, so I'm just gonna go at the very tippy tip, give it that 90-degree angle bend-ish, and come in about 1/3 of the way, or 1/4 of the way. Get that turned. And when you look at it, it's super wonky. And all you have to do is just roll your wrist, and then you get that looking more like a lollipop. Then I'm gonna go ahead and come in. I'm gonna put my chain nose pliers right over the top of that loop. And then I'm gonna come in and wire wrap. And I'm gonna go once, twice, I'm gonna go 3 times. And I'm okay if these spin around, if these beads are spinners or not, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and come in, give it a little bit of a trim, and just be careful when you're cutting, when you're tucking in, just be very careful for your beads. So I'm just gonna come in with the tip and do that. Okay, so we have that component. Then let's go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we're going to come in with the very tip. So we have the tip, bend it over 90 degrees, come in about 1/3. You see I have a little bit of a mark right here. That's where I typically probably go. And then I'm going to form that over and then push to the back and then get that all nice and centered, just like so. Then we're going to go ahead and come in over that loop. I kind of lock it in place a little bit, so I do kind of make it go around just a little bit, just so that I can reposition my chain nose pliers. And then let's go ahead and go. And that first wrap is the most important wrap that you're making anyways too. So just want to make sure that you have it all intact there. Okay, let's go ahead and give that a little bit of a trim. And then we're going to come in, and you can see the back kind of poking out a little bit. Okay, and then we want to make sure that that's tucked in. Okay. All right, so now we just want to put it all together. Now, I thought I wanted to have something up there. Do I want to have something up there? I'm just thinking. Let's get this all connected first, and then we'll see. We'll see if we're going to connect. There we go there. Sorry for my fingers. I must have run them across the wire. Okay, so the front is right here, and then I'm going to attach it to this corner and close it off. And get that nice and locked in place. Okay, so now we have that. All right. Then we're gonna go ahead and take another one. I was just looking to make sure that I had the front there in the front. And then we're gonna do this. And then we're gonna do that. And then I want to get the front in the front. And for me, the front is where the wire wrap starts. Okay, and there we go there. Okay, so now we have that. Now we want to add the center. So let's go ahead and add the center. Now you're probably asking, why aren't you using the jump rings that were included in the companion pack? Well, because I'm going to use them in another project. I have a wire wrapping project that I want to do for a bracelet, because I always do. I always do a wire wrapped bracelet, don't I? And so, or maybe I try. So I want to go ahead and make another wire wrapped bracelet, and this time I want to use those textured rings. All right, so there we go. I don't know, I think I like it without. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add my jump rings. And the reason why I'm adding the jump rings is so the earring with the ear wire doesn't just sit right on top. And I could very easily add, I could have added some wire and then use that bead. But I'm kind of digging this just like this. And these didn't really take too long. What took so long was that I changed my mind of what I was gonna do a few times. And when I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and add my ear wire. These ear wires are absolutely stunning. They are stunners. Okay, there we go. There's our earring. And again, if you want to add a little bit of length, you can add some length to that with adding maybe a drop, if you want to add a drop. And maybe I'll add a drop on the second one. We can go ahead. I can make, so what I would do is I'll go ahead and wire wrap these up now. And then what we'll do is up on top, instead of just using jump rings, we'll go ahead and add a few, beads, a few extra beads. So stick around and I will be right back. Okay, and I'm back, and I apologize for being off-centered. I was off-centered, and what happens is I'm working on my mat and it just kind of gradually starts creeping over. And so I apologize for not being centered, but now hopefully we're a little more centered. Now, I finished doing the wrappings, and I did the bottom just like I did the bottom on this one here. But for the top, we're going to do an alternate top. And what we're going to do on the alternate top is we're going to go ahead and grab, and we're just going to grab about maybe 3.5 inches of wire. Let's go ahead and grab 3.5 inches of wire. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and do a wire wrapped loop for the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and bend that 90 degrees. I'm going to come in and I'm going to go right at that spot where I have marked. And I'm going to go ahead and form that over the barrel, and then now rotate the barrel, and then now just make sure that that's all nice and centered and that the tail is just going straight out that way. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and just open it up a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and pass that through. So now we have that. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to close it up. Then I'm going to put my chain nose pliers, the tippy tip, just over the wrap or the loop. Then we're going to go ahead and wrap around, and we're going to go around 3 times. And just make sure you have a good grip on your loop there, and make sure your chain nose pliers is covering it completely. And then we're going to end in the back. Okay, so then we have this here. We're going to go ahead, and the back is actually going this way and cover. Okay, then we will decide. I will tuck in that little piece after we get our wires on there, or after we get our beads on there. So now I just want to decide, do I want 2 or 3? And I was just thinking that I would want 3. Oh yeah, I like 3. 3 is good. Okay, that is really pretty. I think I'm going to go back and redo that one. All right, so we are going to go that way. So now my loop down here is going front to back, but I need to get my my ear wire on this one. Actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm actually going to, let me think of how, if I want, yeah, I do want it directly on there. So now I want my loop to go the opposite direction. So the loop down here is going this way. So I turned it on its side. I'm going to go ahead and put this at the tippy tip because I don't want a long neck. So I'm going to go at the tippy tip and just bend it 90 degrees. Come in with my round nose pliers. I'm going to go ahead and form it around that top barrel. Go ahead and rotate my wrist, push to the back, and then I'm going to go ahead and get that all nice and centered. All right, so let's go ahead and close. Again, we just kind of change things around. I have a nice long tail there, so I'm just going to go ahead and form it around. And since it is 22 gauge craft wire, it's just easier to maneuver with my fingers. I typically will not use my fingers. Okay, and I want to come in on top of there. And let's go ahead and get that tucked in a little. Just be mindful of your beads that are sitting there too, so just make sure you don't go on top of your beads. All right, so now we have our wrap loop. It's a little wonky. Let me try and fix it up a little bit here. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get that on there, and I'm twisting it just a hair and was able to make that. So there, it is open. I don't like to open if I don't have to. I always have a little bit of anxiety when I do this. All right, so we got that opened. Let's get that on there, and then let's close it up. Okay, there we go. I love that. I'm glad I added the extra top up here. I think that just takes it to the next level. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this changed up. I'm gonna take off those jump rings and I'm gonna do this with it. I just think that is taking it to the next level. It's really pretty. Straighten things up a little bit and I'll get a picture of that. So something else I did want to share with you was, oh, and then also too, in the companion pack, they also included the stoppers for the back of the ear wire. I thought that was pretty nice. So I do want to share. So I had mentioned that I wanted to use those jump rings for a project, and I'm going to do something very similar to this. This is another project that I did in a prior month where I used some of these really long gemstones, and they were so pretty. And we had, it was shiny copper that was the part of the companion pack for that month. And what I did was I just did some wire wrapping, and then I added the jump rings. And I'm gonna do something very similar to this, but probably add some beads in between. So I'm probably gonna do something maybe with these 3 here. I'm going to bring in some of those roped or twisted jump rings. So we're going to do that. So that's very similar. This was a really, really, really fun project. So go back and take a look at that. So another month we had some of these little paddles, these little paddle head pins. So cool. And we had some of these bead caps that were amazing. And I went ahead and made a pair of earrings, and then also made a bracelet. So I made a pair of earrings and a bracelet. That was another month. That was a fire polish month as well. So I do rotate. So I get a fire polish month, and then a next month I'll get a gemstone. I think this was last month. And then this month I have fire polish. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get this redone so that it matches this. This is just absolutely stunning. I love it. I love a good chandelier earring. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Then we're gonna make a couple bracelets and a necklace using some of these other beads. So please stay tuned. Please give this video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Comment. I love to see what everybody has to say, and subscribe. Be sure to also check out the Beads of the Month Club and see what club fits you best. They have several different options. I'm going to put links in the description below. I'm also going to add a special Bella 10. You mentioned Bella 10 in your first month's subscription is a 10% off. So be sure to use Bella 10 when you subscribe to Beads of the Month. Don't forget the companion pack. And until next time, have a good one.